What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Train, as usual. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Now, we got NBA playoffs coming up. Not too far away. We got some time. We got some time for sure. But right now, I want to think about it. Because before we know it, it's going to be here. To be clear, the season is going to end around what? Let's see here now. If we pull up this here schedule, it's supposed to end around the 12th of April. And I don't know if y'all paying attention or not, but we kind of just started March. So we got about a month and some change left before the season commences, right? And I'm still on my soapbox about wanting to hear, wanting to see, wanting to witness the Eastern-Western playoff format change. Let's go back to just making it simple, 1 through 16. And I guess when I say go back, that sounds like we've done it before. We actually have had all the teams play, regardless of conference, right? We've seen all these before. I want to say the first playoff, talking about the first NBA playoff, we did it like that. I'm not mad at it. We switched to the East and West after that. But let's go back to that one, right? Let's go back to that one, 1 through 16, although that was 1 through 8 back then. But if we look at the Eastern Conference right now, we got Detroit versus the 8th seed, which that could be either the Magic, the Heat, the Hawks, or the Hornets. Good teams. We got the Celtics versus the Magic, the Heat, the Hawks, or the Hornets, right? Because, again, we got the play-in team. After that, we got Knicks versus 76ers. And then Cavs versus Raptors. That's the first round for the East. And then the first round for the West, we got OKC Thunder versus the Suns, the Warriors, the Clippers, or the Blazers. Then same thing for the Spurs versus the Suns, the Warriors, the Clippers, or the Blazers. After that, you got the Rockets against my Lakers. Oh, that hurts. And then we got here the Wolves versus the Nuggets. Now, we got some interesting matchups in that playoff format. We do. But ladies and gentlemen, let's switch it to the 1 through 16. Because I think that boasts some pretty entertaining matchups. We got Pistons versus Warriors. That's a little interesting. While some people might lean Pistons, and I hear that, Steph Curry's still on that team. Now, right now, he's not been healthy, but imagine a world where he is. The Warriors beating the Pistons, is that doable? I don't know. They do have Kristaps Porzingis. It would be entertaining, to say the least. So I would like to see the Pistons versus the Warriors personally. That would be a good matchup to watch. Thunder versus Heat. I think that matchup actually would be very entertaining. The Heat actually have some good players. They do. They got some good potential. They got good scorers. And I can't quite say if you stop one person, you shut down the team. The coaching is good, but we know who the Thunder are. And I think the Heat will give them a quality run for their money. Could the Heat win? Sure. But I think it's entertaining. Even if it goes 5 games, it's an entertaining 5-game series personally. Now, I lean Thunder, just like I lean Pistons. But I also understand that this Eastern-Western Conference matchup in the first round, it provides entertainment. And hear me out, too. Because as the playoffs continue, as they progress, flying back and forth between East and West, I know the 1 and 2 seeds, the top seeds usually get an advantage by playing the lower seeds. But would traveling East and West Coast constantly cause a little fatigue? That's what I'd be curious to see. But, that's another discussion for another day. Same with the 3rd seed versus the 14. That's the Spurs versus the Magic. Spurs will be the 3rd seed. I lean Spurs. Hear me out, though. Magic can make an entertaining playoff series, to the point that the Spurs could genuinely lose. Remember, they have the lack of playoff experience, right? They have players on the team who have played in the playoffs before. Wemby, I don't know. Stephon Castle, I don't know. Dylan Harper, I don't know. They got good players, though. Don't get me wrong. Those players are good talent. The Magic do have some playoff experience, though, like Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. They have all played in the playoffs. Anthony Black, he may be one of the newer players, and I'd be curious to see how he does in the playoffs, given how he's played thus far. But the Spurs versus Magic, again, East and Western Conference teams. I wonder how that would work in the Spurs' favor going forward, because you're traveling a little further than maybe if you were playing against a Western Conference team. You're going through different time zones. So would that affect your game? As a professional, we expect it not to, but we're human. It can happen. Now let's look at the Celtics. They're the 4th seed in this situation. First, the 76ers. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a strong world. We're talking about Eastern Conferences, right? There's a strong world where the 76ers end up winning that matchup. Now, it's Eastern Conference, so we don't have to worry about the travel. But when we're talking about those top 3 seeds, if they do win, they have to travel a little bit more than the other seeds. So I think that does help them out, because that aspect of this is random, if you think about it. Like, what if the East was just flat out better than the West from top down? Okay, well, then you got to play more Western Conference teams. But if the East, if they have a top team and then the rest of it was subpar, which normally it is, well, you have a higher chance of playing an Eastern Conference team, and vice versa with the West, right? So I think that aspect is fair to endure, because every team could happen. That could happen to every single team. So when we're seeing a team like Celtics versus the 76ers, now we get an Eastern Conference matchup, which it sounds better because we've seen East versus West already to start off. Now, again, there's a world where the 76ers win this matchup. And we've seen these two teams go against one another in the past. So, again, we still get that entertainment. Do the Celtics win? Yes, you can lean the Celtics. You can also lean the 76ers, because both teams have quality talent on their rosters. Tyrese Maxey's been playing well. Joel Embiid, as long as he's healthy, he's the more dominant player on the floor. Jaylen Brown, we know who he is, MVP candidate. If Jason Tatum's coming back, we can see what happens. But again, that could be a jump ball, to be honest with y'all. I kind of want to say 76ers, but again, jump ball. Now, that 5th seed, right, going up against the Sun. The Knicks are going up against the Suns, ladies and gentlemen. To be clear, the Knicks should win this matchup. But again, another East and Western Conference matchup, which I genuinely enjoy seeing. And it just so happened that it lucks out this way, that the majority of the matchups so far have been East versus West. Same thing with the Rockets versus the Raptors. That one's a good one, because the Raptors can actually match up with the Rockets in terms of versatility. Now, I expect the Rockets to win that matchup, but could the Raptors actually pull off the upset? I don't know. I'm a little hesitant on that one personally. I wholeheartedly expect the Rockets to win. But again, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram going up, and RJ Barrett with the Quigley going up against KD. I mean, that could be BTA work, not gonna lie to y'all. But that's entertaining, to say the least. Wolves versus the Lakers. All right, well, we've seen that happen before. 2 Western teams going up against one another. But it's cool. So far, we've had all East versus West. And then, well, the most winningest franchises are playing against their same side conference. I kind of like that. Now, to be clear, I expect the Wolves to beat my Lakers. I'm not biased. They beat us last year. We haven't really done anything to improve. Yes, we have more scoring, but not more defense. So when I'm looking at Wolves versus Lakers, again, that's entertaining. When we're looking at Cavs versus Nuggets, respectfully, these are 2 teams that people have viewed as contenders. I don't view the Cavs as contenders, but the Nuggets I do. And again, another East versus West team. So in the first round, we have a little bit of parity, because Eastern Conference teams would be battling against the Western Conference teams for the majority, except for like 2 games. That's not bad. That's 2 series. I'm playing more than 2 games, but 2 series. That's not bad when you think about it, ladies and gentlemen. That's not bad at all. So I would rather see the Rockets versus the Raptors as opposed to the Rockets versus my Lakers. I think the Raptors could match up a little bit better than my Lakers do against the Rockets. Now, I'm not being biased, and that's not the reason why I'd want to watch it, because I want an easier route for my Lakers. Do I think the Wolves will be an easier route? Yes. But again, I picked the Wolves to beat my Lakers. I'm looking at this from an entertainment perspective, like the Thunder going up against the Heat. That's a really good first matchup. It really, truly is. If we got OKC versus like the Warriors or the Clippers, Clippers would be interesting if Kawhi's healthy. But they need more. The Thunder versus the Blazers, I'm not really liking that. I'm really, truly not. And those are play-in teams, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Them going up against the Heat, it don't seem bad. It does not seem bad. Pistons versus Warriors, again, because of the shakeup, like if they played the Heat, it could be entertaining. But we've seen it before. We've seen that a couple times. We've seen the Thunder go up against the Warriors a couple times. While, yes, Shea versus Curry is a nice matchup, I think Cade versus Curry could be a little different. See what their guards do versus an experienced player like Curry. I think these different matchups start to breed different rivalries. So now during the season, some of these matchups can be a little more highlighted. Like let's go to the second round, right? Let's say the Pistons end up winning and the Nuggets end up beating the Cavs, which I genuinely do believe occurs. Now, in the second round, who wins between the Pistons and the Nuggets? Because in the second round of the East, it could be the Detroit Pistons versus the Cavs or the Raptors. To be clear, I would expect the Pistons to definitively win against the Cavs or the Raptors. I don't definitively have the Pistons beating the Nuggets. I actually have the Nuggets outplaying the Pistons personally. That's a 1 seed beating a 9 seed. Meanwhile, the young Pistons would be advancing to the conference finals the way we're currently set up right now. And while that's cool, I think there's more entertainment seeing the Detroit Pistons versus the Nuggets. You got Cade going up against who on the Nuggets? Like Christian Braun gonna have to go up there and do some things? Okay, cool. Jalen Duren, can he guard Nikola Jokic? I think that's interesting. They got enough guards out there to go up against Jamal Murray. I think there's a wonderful series to watch. Now, the next one will be Thunder versus Wolves. We've seen that matchup occur. Shea versus Ant-Man, which before last season, Ant had the better of Shea in the playoffs. And with the chip on their shoulder, do the Wolves come back and beat the Thunder? That's a compelling series to watch. But again, the entertainment value is high in this one, just like it is between the Pistons and Nuggets. Remember, Cade's an MVP candidate. Some people consider him to be the front runner, especially due to games played. Jokic might not be able to win the MVP because of the games played threshold. So the MVP versus the perceived MVP in some folks' eyes still, that's entertainment. Shea versus Ant-Man, that's entertainment. Spurs versus Rockets would be the next one. Wemby versus KD. Oh, that's lovely. Two unicorns going at it against one another. That's spectacular. Not to mention, as a team, they're good. Like roster-wise, construction-wise, they're good. Coaching, they're good. Organization, you can lean Spurs. But the Rockets have been pretty decent. How about the next matchup? We could say Celtics versus Knicks or 76ers versus Knicks. Either way, that's entertaining. Tyrese Maxey versus Jalen Brunson. Top 5 potential point guards. Cat versus Joel Embiid. Top 5 bigs. Arguably top 3. Going up against one another. They got versatile forwards on both teams. I'm just saying, these matchups, these games would be entertaining. Especially when we're talking about the second round. Conference finals, Nuggets versus 76ers. Again, Jokic versus Embiid. In the playoffs, I know we're a few seasons away from that being a real big topic. Imagine if that happens now. Because there's an argument where Joel Embiid's team might be better than the Nuggets top down in terms of talent. Would we like to see that matchup? How about Thunder versus Rockets? Because that's who I'd have winning in these matchups. Those would be quite phenomenal to watch. And again, let's not lose this. In this current lineup, we got 3 Western teams, 1 Eastern team. The East has been called wide open. Everyone perceives the West to be stronger. So if we're going to have that lineup, if we're going to have that notion, it does make sense to have more Western teams than Eastern teams. When we're talking about conference play, who's better, right? This can be one of the ways to determine that. Because each conference starts out with 8 teams. Which teams remain? And right now, the West would outlast the East. Because again, the 76ers, you can interchange that with the Celtics. But I would genuinely expect, based on how the teams are ranked right now, the West to outlast the East, to the point that we would actually have 2 Western teams in the championship, beating the Nuggets and the Rockets. That sounds kind of phenomenal. It does. Because I genuinely view those to be one of the 2 best teams in the league. Yes, there are other good teams out there also, but these are 2 contenders for me, ladies and gentlemen. Now, could both of these teams lose? Yes, they could. Like the Nuggets could end up losing to the Pistons. Just like the Rockets could end up losing to the Spurs. But I think playoff experience, NBA experience, it makes me lean these other 2 teams in the Nuggets and Rockets. Now, when we're looking at the East and West playoffs, Rockets, let's see here. Thunder, okay, they got to play them. Okay, they got to play them. Right, cool. Like, they wouldn't play until the conference finals. And then we get to see a matchup between another team in the East. And while that's entertaining, that is still entertaining, could the Rockets versus Nuggets be a good finals matchup? Could that be the best finals matchup? I know people are wanting to see the Pistons versus Thunder. Like that East versus West can be alluring. But sometimes the West versus the West or the East versus the East could be just as alluring, if not more so. I've definitely heard people saying, oh, this is the championship matchup, and they're talking about 2 teams in the West. Remember Lakers versus Kings back in the day? That was perceived to be the championship matchup. Whoever wins this matchup, whoever wins this series is going to win it all. So that's not, like, why not have those matchups be in the championship? And again, bragging rights for the different conferences, East versus West, whichever team has more remaining teams in the second round, in the conference finals, that can help dictate which conference is better. Again, there can be top teams in the East, there can be top teams in the West, and then the rest of the West or the rest of the East is a little subpar in comparison to the East or the West. Sorry if that was confusing. But what I'm basically saying is, what if the Nuggets and the Rockets were the best teams in the West and the rest of the West was subpar? Well, that would showcase in the second round. Maybe not the conference finals as much, but you can deduce what happens between the second and the conference finals. I'm just saying, I would still rather see 1 through 16 NBA playoffs than we have 1 through 8 in the East and 1 through 8 in the West. But ladies and gentlemen, I've gone down. This is as of today, as of March 2nd. That's what those listings will look like. So I'm curious, which one sounds more appealing to you all, ladies and gentlemen? Is it the East and West today? Like, does that matchup, does that playoff format still get you excited? Or would you like to see a switch? Like what I just listed off, 1 through 16. And again, in the first round, every team, every series was East versus West, except for the Celtics and 76ers, and then the Wolves and the Lakers. Those were East and Western Conference matchups. But everybody else got to play East versus West. So no one got an advantage or disadvantage by my estimation. Second round, we got East versus West, 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 East, West. Eastern Conference. So only the Pistons and Nuggets really had a disadvantage, quote unquote. And you saw I leaned the Nuggets getting to the championship. So again, I'm curious, which playoff format would you all rather watch? But definitely make sure to comment your thoughts below, ladies and gentlemen. But that does conclude the end of the episode. So like I said, I would love to hear your thoughts. So please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. I hope you are all having a good one. Take care.